Hoop, there it is on the air. For the next hour, Steve Russell and ESPN basketball analyst Mark Wise will hit the hard court as they look back on the week that was and look forward to the week that is in college basketball. Hoop, there it is, courtesy of Silverback Concrete, Titan MRI, and QC Kinetics. It's full court press time. Here are Steve and Mark.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Hoop. There it is, as we talk hoops. A lot of hoops today with the venerable Mark Wise. I'm Steve Russell.
Is that another word for old?
No, that's a good word, Mark.
Seasoned.
Yes.
Fine wine.
Steak and
Yeah.
Zach's our producer today. Don't forget we're broadcasting today from Coach's podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron, Grille, and Celebration Point. You can also watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and you can also listen later on an Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Podcast, or any of the 39 platforms where you find your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. You don't miss an episode. We're taking questions and comments on Facebook Live today if you have them. Simply let us know in the comment section, and we'll get to those. But in the meantime, Mark, another good week for the Gators. The SEC how about Arkansas off to an 0-3 start?
Yeah, it's we talked last week about how good the non-conference was from a historical perspective in terms of the basketball wins. But now people are starting to beat up on each other, and I've got some news for you. There are going to be some really good teams that are going to end up 5-13, 6-12 in the league. Wins are going to be hard to come by. You know, I've got Texas again. I've got Texas on Wednesday night again at Oklahoma, and they're 0-3. But their 3 losses, they opened up the season at Texas A&M, and then Auburn at home and Alabama at home. So I mean, you know, it's that kind of season. So. In terms of the Gators, I'm going to call what's coming forward, a gritty win Saturday at Arkansas. Road wins, or you'll take those anywhere. Whoever can figure out a way to get 4 or 5 road wins will win the league and protect home court, obviously. But from that standpoint, it's 18 one-game seasons. I don't know of any coach in this league that's looking at their schedule and going, we're going to get that one, and then we're going to go and we're going to get 2 out of those 3. So it's probably important for Florida to understand that they won on the road in a different fashion, that they had to grind it out. But this coming week for Florida, I'm calling it a just because week. And just because you're maybe ranked in the top 5 later today, just because you won at Arkansas, just because you waxed Tennessee, Missouri doesn't want to hear any of that.
Speaking of that, I couldn't wait to ask you this. I remember last week you were really high on Auburn.
Yeah.
And now with the Broome injury, what does that do to Auburn?
Well, that's a big blow. I mean, there's no question about it. The good news is, according to the reports that I saw, is that it's a high ankle sprain, and so there's nothing structurally wrong, doesn't need surgery or anything. So he's going to be out. I don't know for how long, but, a high ankle sprain, you would like to think at least 1 to 2 weeks. So from that standpoint, he's the guy, he's the middle of the spoke for them. Everything they do goes through them. Do they have the depth to be really good in spite of his absence? Absolutely. But and I expect them to be ranked number 1 later today when the rankings come out.
All right, let's do our questions of the week, brought to you by Davis Chevrolet, your premier North Central Florida dealer of Chevrolet. Send your questions to questions@gatorshows.com. Here we go. Rod in Gainesville, Gators beat Arkansas and Tennessee, lose to Kentucky in a tough 3-game stretch. Are they a Final Four caliber or contender team?
Well, let me just say this. Every stretch of 3 games is going to be tough. There is no – here's a really easy 3-game stretch. That doesn't exist this year. Are they a Final Four contending team? I would have to think at this point in time, yes. I wouldn't put them in the same breath as Auburn, Duke, or Iowa State right now, but they're in the next tier of, what might be 10 teams.
Marta in Gainesville, Gators have now scored 70-plus in 17 straight games. offense continues to shine? Is the defense good enough for a championship run?
I think if you want to pay attention to something off the beaten path, and I know KenPom is a pay site, but you can Google and figure out what some numbers. You need to be in the top 40 of KenPom's offensive and defensive efficiencies to make the Final Four. That's like 90% accurate over the last 10 years. And I think Florida's inside. I haven't looked this morning, but I know the offense is in there, and I'm pretty sure the defense is as well. So from that standpoint, so far, so good.
Jordan in Gainesville, Gators 15-1, buoying the hopes of Gator Nation. I don't want to bring up elephant in the room. Is there anything going on with the Golden investigation? Will we hear the results soon?
When you hear it, we'll hear it.
Yeah.
So I have no knowledge there.
Savannah and Orlando, Arkansas, and Coach Cal now lost 3 SEC games in a row. Is this his longest losing streak in the conference?
You know, somebody said not since his first year. I'm going to guess at Memphis. So, yeah, I mean, but, you know, Cal's like everybody else. I mean, you're going to have to fight and scrape for wins. I think they just don't seem to be on the same page the whole time right now. Yeah. And, you know, they're like a lot of people. They got a lot of new faces.
And they don't shoot particularly well either.
2 for 13, you forget it from the arc. You can't win, period. You can't win with 13. I mean, you could if you make 7 or 8 of 13, but nobody does that.
Right.
So you must shoot more three-point shots in this day and age of analytical basketball.
Is that a Coach Cal system thing or players he's got?
Well, I think he was slow to embrace the three-point
That's
line, even at Kentucky. So, but they're, you know, again, Boogie Flan is really good. John L. Davis is in a really big slump. And I'm not sure they have a lot of three-point shooters.
Carver in Gainesville, is Elijah Martin one of college basketball's best portal transfers this year?
Yes. I mean, I said from day one, I thought he brings something, especially on the defensive side, on the toughness side, as a perimeter player that I don't think Florida's had the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, boy, Alicia, in Gainesville, the can of worms opened here.
Uh-oh.
We had 3 players foul out Saturday.
Yeah. Probably should have been more.
This rarely happens. Is this because of the style of game or home court officiating?
Yeah, neither. This is because every once in a while you get officials who call fouls. And so you never complain about your team fouling out, because for every game they foul out players, the other team also has that. So it's, you know, is there a home court discrepancy? There was 50 years ago, there was 25 years ago, and there's still a discrepancy home away.
Alexa in Crescent Beach. Some Tennessee players went to the locker room without shaking hands. Coach Golden and assistants stayed by their bench till Coach Barnes made them come back. Was that a classy move by Coach Barnes?
Absolutely. But I got to tell you, if you haven't seen Mark Pope, the Kentucky head coach, when they won at Georgia the other day, and I get winning makes it easier, but there was a Kentucky fan in a wheelchair, and you'd have to know the Georgia layout. You've been there. So, that is way up high, okay?
Yeah.
And so he walked up after the game to meet with the Kentucky fan who couldn't get down on the floor. So speaking of classy moves.
Very classy move. What's up with the UAA selling student tickets? I've never seen lines outside the O-Dome like last Tuesday.
I don't know that that's selling tickets. I think that's the line to get in. I mean, they don't let people in until a certain time.
I think there was a miscommunication about how many student tickets, because it was there during the break.
Right.
I think that was one of the reasons there was some confusion in the crowd.
Yeah, that's a problem for everywhere. Last week I was at Oklahoma and Missouri. They didn't have students, but both places had great crowds.
Marcus in Gainesville, Elijah Martin and Janelle Davis played together at FAU. Davis has said Martin had never gotten the better of him, but on Saturday, Elijah held him to 0 points and 3 turnovers. Is Golden better at developing than Coach Cal?
No, they're not better. I mean, if you're coaching at this level, you're pretty good at developing players, period.
Yeah, if you get to this point.
If you're not, If you're not, I mean, or if you've coached at this level and you're no longer coaching at this level, maybe you're not. But no, he's not better.
Jermaine in Gainesville, Auburn ranked number 1 today. Are they truly the best team in the land?
Well, I've said that for a couple of weeks. I think their resume is the best. They have the best wins. They had the best non-conference strength of schedule. They have, I want to say, 6 or 7 quad 1 wins. I think they're the best team in the country. They're deep. They're old. They make threes. They have a bona fide Player of the Year candidate in Janai Broom. As a matter of fact, right now, I think it's Broom and Flagg, and whoever's third, there's a fall off. Yeah, okay. There's a big drop off.
Brian in Lake City, will the Gators be a top 5 team when rankings come out? Yes.
Yes, I think. I mean, I don't know where they're going to drop Tennessee, but Tennessee with the good road win at Texas, that was a really good game, by the way. I got to see some of that.
Laura in Gainesville, big win against Tennessee. Gators won by 30 in a well-coached game.
Well, wait. Just because you won by 30 doesn't mean it was a well-coached game, okay? That's what people don't get. Sometimes you get beat by 5 and coached your you-know-what off. So it's not a well-coached game just because you won by 30.
And this is interesting.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is interesting, too, because won by 30 in a well-coached game designed for Martin and Aberdeen. Can we run every game through them?
I promise you it was not designed to go through. I mean, Elijah Martin's playing really well, shooting the ball really well. But if the score is tied with 5 seconds to go, who do you want taking the last shot for Florida? Because right now, I want Walter Clayton Jr.
I do, too. Holden and Tempe. Gators showed some hustle, patience, dominating the boards against Tennessee. Are our 4 bigs simply better than Tennessee's?
I think I know that Tennessee has the big shot blocking guy, Akpero, that Florida probably doesn't have, but I think Alex Condon is really good. I think he's a mismatch problem.
Yep.
And now that he's stepping out and making some threes, like the one he did late in the game at Arkansas, kind of put the stamp on that game, if you will. So I think Condon is, when you talk about the best bigs in the conference, if you're listing 4 or 5, Condon's got to be in that conversation.
While we're talking Tennessee, did you see what their head coach said?
About that's what you're getting paid to do.
That's what you get paid to do.
Yeah.
Sit on the bench.
He's talking about Chaz Lanier. He took him out like 12 seconds into the second half, I think. Yeah. And they asked him about it in the press conference after the game, and he said, I told him, I said, you're getting paid to come off that screen and shoot it. So do what you're getting paid to do.
Yes.
And that's where we are.
It's the truth. Yeah. Speaking of that, I digress here a second. I watched, as I told you, sitting here, part of your broadcast, there were like 783 games on over the weekend, which is great for the sport. I'm flipping channels, and I come across Wake Forest and Miami.
Okay.
Wake Forest has a senior guard.
Yeah. Hunter Salas.
There's another one. I can't think of his
Hildreth.
name. Yeah, Hildreth, yes.
Yeah.
The broadcasters for that game said he is one of 5 players in the ACC to start and finish their career with the same school.
Yeah.
Only
That's
5.
That's a good nugget.
How about that?
Yeah, that's, again.
Does that tell you?
I'm thinking now, I know I've had a couple of non-conference mid-major teams that had 4 or 5 year guys that were all there, but I'd have to go back and look at some boards and see, who even the Wade Taylors of the world, they didn't start at A&M.
Right.
Now, I take that back. He may be the exception. It might be him. He might be the only one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, in the entire, again,
like Janai Broom started at Morehead State.
The expanded ACC now, 5 dudes.
5 guys. That's really good. So you saw some of our games Saturday?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let's see. Mark, for you, Stanton in Middleburg. Fans in the O-Dome, electric last Tuesday, reminded me of 2006 and 2007 With the students back, will the electricity be amped up even higher against Mizzou? Well, 9 o'clock game.
Well, here's my answer to that. The simple answer is yes, but the more challenging answer is it should be electric every night. I mean, you've got such a great fan base here, okay? There's no excuse for it to not be electric, and I don't think it has to wait on a team to be 15-1 to be electric.
But everybody
that's my only comment about that.
But everybody loves a winner.
Everybody loves a winner. But, you know, Missouri yesterday had a sellout. Now, there were not 12,000 people in the building, probably right. 10 maybe. And they were a little quiet, but every place needs to understand their role. I don't understand, and maybe it's because football only plays once a week. I think everybody understands, especially here, that you can really help the team at times. Well, the same is true in basketball. I promise you, if you go and you play at Kentucky, and I'll bring them up because that's where I was born, I have the most experience there, and you score 3 or 4 straight times down the floor on Kentucky, I promise you that the fans are getting on their feet. They're going to try and, you know, kind of get their team back on track.
Tammy in Gainesville missed free throws, haunted us against Kentucky, haunted Tennessee. What makes a team shoot 50% at times and 85% at times?
Who sent this question in?
Tammy.
If I had the answer to that, I would be making a lot more money. Free throw shooting is about 2 things and 2 things only. And we had this happen in my game the other day, and I pointed it out both times, and the guy missed a free throw both times. Repetition and confidence. So sometimes you'll see teams, the shooting team, not put 2 guys on the line for the first shot because the coach wants to talk to them. Well, you have changed the repetition part. Mm-hmm. The repetition, and when you practice it, you don't need to practice it all the time, just the guy by himself. He can get those up on his own. But when you're in practice, you need to put all 6 guys on the line and have that repetition over and over. The other part is confidence. And that's where, you know, a lot of guys struggle.
And Bowen in Gainesville, our final one, we held Tennessee to 21% shooting, 12 made shots. What a difference from the Kentucky game. What typically does a coach change or pivot to make this happen?
Well, video, in the old days when I was coaching, we used to have to we had to wait on the film. The film had to be developed. We couldn't do it, until we couldn't show it to the team until the next day.
Right. Had to be developed.
Well, now you can get your ass chewed out, 5 minutes after the game because they have access to the video. The video is a great, teaching tool, motivational tool. But I also have to tell you, Kentucky went to Georgia and made 4 of 22 from beyond the arc. I mean, the same is true for them on the other side of the floor. I mean, when they make and they what a great win at Starkville. I think Mississippi State's really good. But I think Kentucky made 14 threes. I mean, they're built to win games offensively. When they don't play well, when they don't shoot well offensively, they don't win. So I'm looking for teams that have multiple ways to beat you. And that's the other thing I'll say about Auburn. I think Auburn has more different ways to beat you than any other team I've seen this year. That means they can win a game in the 60s, they can win a game in the 90s.
Questions of the week brought to you by Davis Chevrolet, your premier North Central Florida dealer of Chevrolet. Send your questions to questions@gatorshows.com. You can also ask questions with us live. We'll take a break and come back. Much more Hoop There It Is. Stay with us.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, starting Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. When I was the voice of the Gators, I called championship games, while Quality Plumbing was becoming champions for the Gainesville area.
I'm Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators, as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. For years to come, I'll be calling games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for Core Power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
I am Florida Victorious. I am Florida Victorious. I am Florida Victorious.
I am Florida Victorious.
I am Florida Victorious. Donate today.
Come on, Gators, get up and give.
Let's win.
Join today.
Your contributions will win us more championships.
Score an assist, become a member of Florida Victorious. The winning begins right here,
right now.
Give today for FLORIDA.
This is your shot to join the team.
Meet the orange and blue. Florida Victorious.
Let's go. Contribute today.
Gator Nation, this is your chance to support all UF student athletes.
Scan the QR code now.
Together, we are Florida Victorious.
Join today.
You might know that State Farm agent Ruz Agra has great service. He's your good neighbor after all, but did you know that State Farm has surprisingly good rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Ruz Agra has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Gainesville and North Central Florida. So call State Farm agent Ruz Agra at 352-240-1779 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
For over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
Welcome back to Hoop. There it is. Appreciate you talking basketball with us alongside Mark Wise. I'm Steve Russell. Let us talk about Silverback Concrete, too. They build firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. Silverback Concrete.
By the way, what are you wearing today?
I got this from Carol for the holidays. So
okay, that's good. That's good. So that's staying in the will.
Right,
that's good.
I figured I would,
Are you celebrating that it's over?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. It was over a long time ago, though, Mark. You understand.
Well, you've been celebrating a while.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sorry to interrupt.
That's quite all right. Our play of the week brought to you by Quality Plumbing. When you need a quality plumber, rely on the same company Gainesville's trusted since 1984. Quality Plumbing, their name says it all. Play of the week.
Well, Utah State is a great story because they're 16-1. They've got a first-year head coach in Jared Calhoun. But the other day they're playing at home against Boise State, and it's a 4-point play to win a game. It's like Jeremy Fears from Oklahoma who beat Michigan in the non-conference on a 4-point play. It's not that. I mean, there's 9 seconds to go. They throw it in. He shoots it. He gets fouled. It's the way the ball went in. You'd have to see it because you would never get this bounce at the county fair. I promise you. It hits the back of the rim, the front of the rim, kind of goes up in the air and then hits the back and kind of rolls back in. It's pretty special.
All right. Coach of the Week brought to you by International Diamond Center. Don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best prices. For quality, selection, and value, International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators.
Well, this is an easy one for me because Bruce Pearl became the all-time winningest coach in Auburn basketball history. I don't know that anybody thought Bruce Pearl, when he went to Auburn, would be at Auburn 10 years later. But by winning midweek, he became their all-time winningest coach. pretty special, really.
That place, Mark, seems to me, not that every home venue isn't good.
Yeah.
But just from where the crowd is.
No, it's electric.
Okay.
It's really
I think
electric.
it's the best in the league.
I agree.
Okay.
I think the student section is literally closer than the reptiles here at Florida.
Yeah.
And it's the right size. They built the right size arena. It only seats 9,000. And there's just not very many bad seats. And I don't know if they're piping in music or whatever they're doing, but when you're doing a game there, it is loud.
Team of the Week brought to you by Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance. State Farm agent Ruse Ogra is your go-to agent in Gainesville and North Central Florida for the service you deserve at the price you want.
You know, Louisville got off to a quick start in the non-conference, surprising because they have a new head coach in Pat Kelsey, who had success at Charleston. But then in the battle for Atlantis, they lost Pryor, a guy that's kind of their big guy, 12-6 on the season. And so they've played shorthanded, and lo and behold, they've now won 6 in a row. They're 5-1 in the ACC. I don't know how good the ACC is, but they won on the road at Pitt, and Pitt is one of the better teams in the league. So Pat Kelsey, the Louisville Cardinals, I think they're surprising everybody.
A team I wanted to ask you about, I caught some of Iowa State's game. Really, really good game the other day.
Right.
They're really good. What makes them good?
Well, you have to remember their DNA is on the defensive end. They really get after you. They're kind of like Texas A&M in that sense. But the reason they're in the top 4 in the country is because their offense has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And last year, they had to win games in a certain way. Well, this year, because their offense is better, I mean, they can win games in different ways. So the Iowa State-Auburn game in Maui was, I mean, that's probably the best played game on both ends of the floor all year. I mean, Florida-Kentucky would be close because of how both teams played offensively. But they're legit. They're really legit.
The other thing I thought I saw, when Alabama played A&M, which Alabama got a road win, but no Wade Taylor, right?
He did not play in our game Wednesday night at Oklahoma either.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with some sort of injury. I'm not really sure what it is. Some people have called it a groin. Buzz Williams just said he's out.
Which
I
is
said,
typical.
Can you tell us what he's out? Okay,
Right. Typical him.
Can you tell us what I just did? He's out. Okay.
I think he said that was the first time A&M in basketball, in their men's basketball history, had hosted 2 teams when they were both ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, I think it's Texas who did that, not A&M, because Texas just hosted Alabama and Auburn both.
Okay. Well,
And-
I thought
that's right, because they had Tennessee. That's correct.
Yeah.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're going to get a lot of that in the league this year.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking forward, Wednesday night I go to Oklahoma, and I have Texas-Oklahoma, so it's the Red River rivalry. I've been trying to work on that because that does not roll off the tongue very easily.
Not easy.
And we're going to bring a little bit of historical perspective to the game, so it'll be kind of now, you're going to have to stay up late, and when I say late, I mean really late, because twice this year the SEC Network has 3 games on a Wednesday night. So Eastern time, it's 6, 8, and 10. Okay, so our game, I'm saying, I sent this to the producer yesterday. I think our game, I'm almost positive, that our game will be the first game in the SEC basketball history in the regular season, because I'm not counting the tournament, SEC tournament, where things get all out of whack.
Right.
That will be played over 2 days, because we're not going to finish by midnight. I promise you. Because if you're the 10 o'clock game, you're 10:05 with a 5-minute slide. So we're not starting until 10:10. Okay? Then the game has no chance of being over by midnight. So, yeah,
over 2 days.
I think that'll be a first for me as well.
Yeah.
So Roy Philpott and I are on the call, and we've both kidded each other because everybody's schedule is altered. So like the second shoot-around isn't until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Now think about that. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I may have to go take a nap After the second, 6 o'clock, I might have to take a nap before I go to the Lloyd Noble Center.
That reminds me sometimes all the years I went to the SEC baseball tournament, and, that time of the year, what happens?
Right.
It rains.
Right.
Florida
And you get
LSU
backed up.
one night,
Yeah.
we went on the air after 12.
Yeah.
It was 3 a.m. we were broadcasting
Change the date.
game, and it was
Change the date.
I can't. Yeah, it was weird. We'll take a break. Come back. Second half of Hoop. There it is yet to come. Stay with us.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grille. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
At Titan MRI and Imaging, you'll visit the only locally owned and operated MRI imaging center in town. Start feeling better today. It's your choice. TitanMRI.com.
Welcome back to Hoop. There it is. Don't forget, we're broadcasting from Coach's podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Gainesville and Celebration Point. You can watch us live, Facebook, YouTube. You can listen later, anytime actually. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, a YouTube podcast, any of the 39 platforms where you find your favorite podcast. And also follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And we are glad you're with us. All right, let's do our Sub of the Week, brought to you by Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover 11 delicious Cuban sandwiches at Miapa Latin Cafe with 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami.
I didn't have to go very far for this one either, because in my game Wednesday night at Oklahoma, Texas A&M, ranked 10th, I think, at the time, comes into Oklahoma. And Oklahoma has a guy by the name of Bryson Goodine, who comes off the bench, and he is a three-point shooter. But in his previous 5 games, he was 3 for 15 from beyond the arc. And in this particular game, he gets it going to the tune of 9 for 11 from bonus land, goes for a career-high 34 points, all off the bench. But Texas A&M, playing without Wade Taylor, Zurich Phelps goes for 28 in the second half and kind of leads the comeback. A career 26% three-point shooter, makes 6 in the second half. It was a bizarre basketball game. Great theater at the end, a lot of fun to do.
Maybe I'm wrong in this. it seems to me at A&M that was a coach that was sort of defensive minded, but they're scoring a lot more. Has he changed what he philosophically does? Tell me about A&M.
Well, no, they score a lot because of how they score, and they score in two ways that most people do not. When I say they crash the offensive glass, they work on it extensively, and they attack like none other. They lead the country in offensive rebounds per game. They're not a great shooting team, but they get 44% of their misses.
Wow.
So they're scoring, and if you get offensive rebounds, typically you're scoring at a much higher efficiency now.
Yeah.
And the second part of that equation is they go to the free throw line a lot. They get to the free throw line like 29 times a game. That's the most in the SEC. So if the three most efficient ways to score in our game, and I think we went over this last week, the first is free throws. That makes sense. The second is at the rim, and the third is the 3-point line. So I noticed no 2-point shot other than at the rim was in that list.
Right.
So that goes back to what I said last week when we had Alabama and Nate Oates, when he was asked about the NBA, can you watch it? And he said, you mean the most efficient basketball on the planet? So, I mean, there's a reason why the NBA is launching 43s a game. And it's analytically driven.
Games to watch, brought to you by Florida Victorious. Game-changing plays, life-changing impact. Florida Victorious, the proud partner of the Florida Gators on and off the court.
Well, tomorrow night, I know Florida plays tomorrow night, but the league schedule tomorrow night is just dynamite. Mississippi State's at Auburn. Ole Miss, ranked, is at Alabama. And A&M is at Kentucky. I mean, this is going to be the league now every window of games. Wednesday night, Kansas at Iowa State. And you mentioned Iowa State earlier. Then after the Kansas-Iowa State game, as a matter of fact, after every other game played across the country on Wednesday night, you can watch us at Oklahoma. Thursday, Michigan and Dusty May, they've been one of the real surprises. They're on the road at Minneapolis to play Minnesota. Friday night, IU, who I don't know what's going on at IU. I just don't. They're so up and down, hot and cold. They're at Ohio State. Saturday, Alabama is at Kentucky. Purdue's at Oregon. They go on a West Coast swing. And then on Sunday, Illinois at Michigan State. Some games to watch.
All right.
And Michigan State's got themselves back in the top 15, playing really well. Illinois dropped a game at home the other day, which they had been playing really, really well.
Baller of the Week brought to you by Crystal Air and Water. Family-owned and operated, Crystal Air and Water services air conditioners, furnaces, boilers, and more for Gainesville, Alachua, and nearby areas. We're not comfortable until you are. Baller of the Week.
Well, I think we said Janai Broom last week, so I'm going to go to his competition for National Player of the Week of the year, and I think that's Cooper Flagg at Duke. He had 42. That set a ACC scoring record for a freshman. So think about that over the years.
Right.
It's not just that he averages 19 and 8. He also leads Duke in assists, steals, and blocks. Now, think about that. He leads his team in 5 different statistical categories. He will be the number 1 pick in the draft, period.
Really? Okay.
Period. And I get Harper and Bailey are really good at Rutgers. Edgecombe is really good at Baylor. I get all that. He's the number 1 pick.
Tell me.
And has an NBA-ready body.
Tell me, I mean, we know about the SEC because we're in the SEC and, some of the Michigan State, Duke, all of that. Give me a couple of teams in the Mark Wise world that maybe don't get the pub, but that you like.
I like what Will Wade is doing at McNeese. So if you are looking for a team that's really athletic that might scare somebody if they are to get in the NCAA tournament, I would keep an eye on them. I think Illinois is under the radar nationally, and I get it. They lost at home the other day in a surprise to Southern Cal. Those are a couple of teams. And then, and even though you prefaced your statement saying we're talking about the SEC, I think there's some teams in the SEC we probably aren't talking enough about. I mean, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I mean, these teams are really, really good. So those are some teams that come to mind.
I watched a bit of Georgia, and it just seems they're a little bit better offensively than what they've been. Would you agree?
They are, but Asa Newell is the difference maker, the freshman. I mean, he's 6'10", athletic, runs the floor, bouncy, can score around the rim, gives them, almost a double-double every night. Their guard play is older in terms of Demery and Kane, and then they've got LeFew who comes in and makes threes. So, yeah, they're better offensively.
We'll take a break, come back, much more to come. Hoop, there it is. Stay with us.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, starting Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. When I was the voice of the Gators, I called championship games, while Quality Plumbing was becoming champions for the Gainesville area.
I'm Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators, as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. For years to come, I'll be calling games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for core power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Don't forget, Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete. Welcome back to Hoop There It Is. That's Mark Wise. I'm Steve Russell. Zach, our producer today, we thank you for tuning in. And for those of you who will tune us in later, we will do this every Monday during the basketball season. I can't wait for this one. Women's basketball check-in, brought to you by Meldon Law. With 50 years of experience, the only accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down.
Yeah, I've got 2 different things. One is a game winner. LSU is one of the 3 undefeated teams. Well, I should say this. I didn't look this morning, but I think they're one of the 3 undefeated teams in the country, along with UCLA and Ohio State, I think. And yet they won on a buzzer beater the other night against Tennessee. And Kaylin Gilbert had the game winner for LSU. But again, it's the shot that she made. She gets into the paint. She's right-handed. She twists her body and kind of rolls it like a like a left-handed luau sender half hook that goes in. It's a beautiful play. It was fun to watch. But the game that got me like, what? What did I just, what? Pittsburgh is hosting SMU. And for you people watching, you're going to just have to follow along. But at the end of the first quarter, the visitors, SMU, is ahead 32-7. 25-point lead, and they extend that in the second period. I think at one point in time they were up 46-14. So they're up 32 points. They're up 31 at half. And in the third quarter, Pitt outscores SMU 28-0. Okay, so that erased the 31-point lead down to 3. And if that wasn't enough, they went ahead and outscored SMU 26-10 in the fourth to win by a comfortable 13-point margin, outscoring SMU 54-10 in the second half, the two third and fourth quarters. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
I haven't. I mean, maybe at high school or something, not at the college level. And it was interesting.
It's bizarre. That's a bizarre score. I'm looking at the score by quarters. For SMU, it was 32-17, 0-10. Yeah. Again.
And they talked to Pittsburgh's coach and said, what'd you say at half? What'd you?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, what am I going to say?
What are you going to say?
You have some pride.
Yes.
Let's go out and play.
Yeah, you're down 31 at home.
Yeah. That's just.
So you never know. That's the moral. Every game has a life of its own. And so people want to always connect games. And I always call it just because. And I used that earlier relating to Florida and their schedule this week. But every game has a life of its own, including football, softball, volleyball. I don't care the sport. Every game has a life of its own.
And credit the kids, too.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you could have just tanked.
Rolled
or the coach
over.
could have said,
Yeah.
you know what, on the guys on the bench, let's go.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They stuck with it, and they win the game. Gator women's basketball team gets a win in the SEC. South Carolina, Texas was a good game as well.
Again, South Carolina, I think South Carolina, LSU play each other next week. I think it's the 23rd. If that's next week, I've lost all track of maybe in 10 days. They play 10 days. So that's the one everybody I think is going to pay attention to. But that was a good win for LSU. Texas is pretty good. I watched them play against Oklahoma a week ago, and they press all over the place, and they forced a lot of – and OU's good.
Yeah.
Both of the women's teams new to the league, are top 15 teams.
And, not to the extent maybe that the men are, but women's basketball in the SEC ain't too shabby either.
No, they had – last week I think they had 8 ranked teams of their own.
Yeah.
And they've had that for some time. So – again, I think Alabama got a win over Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is usually pretty good. So, 8 ranked teams, I think, speaks to the quality of the league.
Top 4 teams brought to you by Fairlife Core Power. Discover Core Power protein shakes by Fairlife. Explore our 26G and 42G high-protein drinks, perfect for workout recovery and nutrition. Your top 4, sir.
Well, my top 3 were easy because I have Auburn on top, and our best thoughts to Janai Broome, and hope he gets back, soon. Duke number 2, Iowa State number 3, and then at number 4, I didn't know how to differentiate between Florida and Tennessee. And everybody's going to say, well, Florida just won by 30. Tennessee has the better resume at this point in time. Florida has the crushing head-to-head. I get it. So I'm going to split it down the middle. 4th is Tennessee and Florida.
Watching at the game the other night, I thought of you, my friend, because of what we have discussed many times over the course of a season. If you're Rick Barnes, how many times have we said?
Yeah.
You play 30 games, whatever it is, right?
2 of them are stinkers. 2 of them are stinkers. 2 of them are lights out. And maybe one of each happened in that game where Florida played lights out and Tennessee stunk.
Yeah.
So But this league is all about the grinding the other 28. I mean, and if you want to think of it in league play, 18 games, okay, you play one game that's just lights out for no reason. You have one absolute stinker. And then the other 16 games, man, you're just trying to grind out some W's.
Yeah, but I was sitting there.
Yeah,
and I thought of what we have talked about a lot. Yeah. Hell, here's a wise stinker tonight for Tennessee. Because, I mean, it wasn't like they took – I mean, they took some bad shots, but they took shots they just didn't hit them.
Yeah. I mean, if you go what were they, 1 for whatever from the arc until the end. And they made a couple more. But in this day and age, I do think you have to be able to rebound. I do think you have to have a defensive presence of some sort. But if you cannot score, you will lose games in March.
All right. We'll take a break. Mark just had Missouri, so we'll kind of preview Florida and Missouri coming up Tuesday. Stay with us for more Hoop There It Is.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
You might know that State Farm agent Ruz Agra has great service. He's your good neighbor after all, but did you know that State Farm has surprisingly good rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Ruz Agra has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Gainesville and North Central Florida. So call State Farm agent Ruz Agra at 352-240-1779 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grille. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
I am Florida Victorious. I am Florida Victorious. I am Florida Victorious.
I am Florida Victorious.
I am Florida Victorious. Donate today.
Come on, Gators, get up and give. Let's win.
Join today.
Your contributions will win us more championships.
Score and assist. Become a member of Florida Victorious. The winning begins right here,
right now.
Give today for FLORIDA.
This is your shot to join the team. Need the orange and blue. Florida Victorious.
Let's go. Contribute today.
Gator Nation, this is your chance to support all UF student athletes.
Scan the QR code now.
Together, we are Florida Victorious.
Join today.
At Titan MRI and Imaging, you'll visit the only locally owned and operated MRI imaging center in town. Start feeling better today. It's your choice. TitanMRI.com.
And just a reminder, we're broadcasting from Coach's podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Celebration Point in Gainesville. You can watch us live, Facebook, YouTube. You can listen later, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Spotify, any of the almost 40 platforms where you can find your favorite podcast. You can like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode with us. And hopefully next week we get to take some questions live from you. and we look forward to that. We look forward to tomorrow night when Gator basketball plays Missouri. Mark just had, for those of you who don't know, I don't know why you would not have watched Mark's game, but he had Missouri. So what do you see with the Tigers?
Well, they have certain ingredients that I really like. Number one is they have a returner in Tamar Bates who can give them 15 to 20 on any given night. They have the Duke transfer, Mark Mitchell, who's really a tough matchup. He's, for a big guy, he doesn't mind putting it on the deck. He's got some guard skills and attacking the rim. Not really a great shooter. But then they've got two sophomores in Anthony Robinson II and Trent Pierce, who made quantum leaps from their freshman production years to what they're doing this year. They're the same Dennis Gates team. They'll give you different defenses. They like to press and get in the gaps and shoot gaps defensively. They're tied with Vanderbilt for the number of steals per game, so you cannot turn the ball over against them. They have a lot of pieces that I like, and they're one of the surprises in the league.
Is this a heavy transfer team?
Not as much as others. They've got more returners. They did have a good recruiting class, but the recruiting class is having a hard time getting on the floor. The one guy I didn't mention is Caleb Grille, because he didn't play last year, or he didn't play the last 23 games. Great shooter, great range, gives him kind of a toughness, kind of the Elijah Martin look, if you will. I really like him a lot. So there are a lot of things to like about this Missouri team. It'll be a tough game.
When you look at Florida, Todd has pretty much an 8-man rotation, people kind of knowing their roles. That kind of helps things when kids know what's expected of them, what their role is, right?
Yeah, as long as you're not the ninth guy.
right.
But yes, it certainly helps. I think, for the guys that come off the bench, like Denzel Aberdeen knows he's going to play 20 minutes.
Yep.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Now, he's earned that right, and the way he's producing, he sometimes will play 25 minutes, depending on foul trouble and other situations. And then the bouncy bigs, as I like to refer to them, that's a kind of a Todd Golden staple. He wants bigs that are bouncy, that can, shoot the three ball. Now, two of them can shoot the three ball, in Houck and Condon. Chinyalu's never going to shoot a three, and Alexis can shoot them, but he's a work in progress. I thought he was good the other day. I mean, he gave them, it's not, these guys are not going to give you 14 and 10 individually, but look at what they give you collectively in terms of the production Florida's getting block to block.
Why, an ending here in our last couple of minutes, why are Houck and Condon such matchup issues?
Because they'll step out and make the three, especially Houck has changed his shooting numbers from last year this year. I don't know what he did the other day at the free throw line, but he's gone from like 47% to 82%. Condon shooting the three ball, willing to shoot the three ball at a tough spot on the road like he did. So when you've got bigs like that can stretch the floor, that's an NBA thing.
Top three, I know you like top three in the SEC right now.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to put Auburn there because of Janai Broome. The way people are playing right now, oh gosh. I'll probably put Florida second. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt over Tennessee on this part because of the head-to-head.
Yep.
And then, Tennessee, Alabama. If Bama ever starts making shots, they're going to be dynamite. They shoot a lot of threes. They make a lot of threes, but their shooting percentage is relatively low. They are a volume shooting, scoring team that way. So Alabama, Tennessee, maybe Kentucky fifth.
That's a pretty good number 5.
Think about Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Georgia being 6, 7, 8. I mean, again, that 9-9, you're in. 8-10, you're in this year. You're in. 7-11 will get you on the bubble.
We're in, but now we're out. That's our hoop. There it is for now. Thanks to Zach for producing it. We thank you for tuning in. For Mark Wise, I'm Steve Russell. We will see you next week. And again, join us live and find us anytime on various podcast sites. See you later.
We thank you for listening to Hoop There It Is with Steve Russell and ESPN's Mark Wise. Hoop There It Is, a service of Silverback Concrete, Titan MRI, and QC Kinetics. It's available for you via podcast at WRUF.com and on the WRUF radio app. Hoop There It Is, paid for by Weeby Marketing and produced by ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators.